It's Tuesday, August the 28th. Lake level is 913.5. It's about the same it's been, since last week, which is about 2.5 feet below summer pool. But they haven't been doing much water generation. What little bit they've been doing has been wee hours of the morning. But water temperature, it's actually cooled down a little bit. It was high 80s, even some, low 90s. But it's still mid 80s pretty much wherever you're at on the lake. The drop shot bite seems to be about the best bite, and it seems the fish are really loaded up pretty good on gravel points, main lake, secondary points, especially if there's a deep drop. You kind of want a flat point that comes way out in the lake, and it's got deep water on at least one side. If it's got it on both sides, that's great. A lot of days they've been right on the bottom, anywhere from 25, 35 feet or just a couple feet off. I did notice the other day, I think it was Sunday, when it clouded up. I was at Bull Shoals, and it clouded up and everything, and it seemed like the fish come up off the bottom and suspended in that 10 to 15 foot range. And I caught them on, on a little underspin and swim bait. But as far as on the drop shot worms, it's a lot of the same. My two favorite ones are probably the chompers, whether it's a plum or the brown purple lamb. But I've also been throwing some big bite Somalis, some Wewkly flatworms, some stuff I had left over from when I was fishing up north. It seems like when you get around the fish that want to bite, it really doesn't matter what color or which particular worm you throw. Another good one is the Morning Dawn, the KVD drop shot worm. And what I've been catching them on, the suspended ones, a lot of times we always throw a swim bait. It's got a paddle tail, but it seems like the trend seems to be going more to, and it has for a while, more like to Demiki style worms, or little flukes. This is it's a big bite. It's a jerk worm, and I've got it on a 1/4 ounce underspin, and I'm just finding out what depth the fish are at. Counting my bait down, just reeling it real slow. Or if I find a brush pile and I see fish on the top of it, I'll usually reel this over the top of it first. But they've got a lot of different ones, but I throw, what looks like a shad. And it seems like I'm throwing these more and more than I am like a 2.8 regular swim bait. It seems like for some reason, especially in the real clear water, I don't feel like you really need that tail flapping. Just a little bit more subtle and probably a little more natural looking for the fish. And a lot of them fish I'm finding, when they're really fired up, you can set right on top of them. But for the most part, I'm having to find them on my live scope and actually cast to them. Keep the boat away from them a little bit. It seems like the fish are getting a little smarter all the time. I don't know whether they're hearing the electronics, but seems like I catch a few more fish if I stay 40, 50 feet away and cast either my drop shot worm or the underspin to them. Now, I've talked about the topwater bite that should be happening. I think last week where we had them killer temperatures, it's just holding everything back. It's holding them from moving up. But there are some smallmouths starting to move up fairly shallow, especially in the morning. And places you want to look for them is a lot of the same places that you fish in the springtime. Not so much in the pockets where they spawn, but you want to look on the points where they go to after they spawn. They should be doing, coming into them same points out from the deeper water. Good baits to fish out there for them is a Ned rig's real hard to beat, but I like to take a 5-fish ultimate finesse jig, and either a 5/16 or a 7/16. And I'll usually throw it on a spinning rod, Philly light line, and usually I'm not fishing it real deep. In the morning I'll start 8 to 15, and then as the sun gets up, I'll back out the boat in 30 where I'm fishing in that 20 to 25. But I am catching some quality smallmouth, just not a lot of them. But I think as things start to cool down, that should get a little bit better. And the topwater bite, whether it be whopper plopper, the little Cyclone Junior, or even like the big glide baits, like the Spro Chad, or the Extreme Outdoors has their own brand, which are really good quality baits. But I think like the 7-inch glide is going to come into play along with the whopper plopper. Basically what them fish are doing is the last little spawn of bluegill and black perch is happening, and some of them bigger largemouth are up there feeding on them. So as it cools down a little bit, that should get better. Probably gonna be a little crazy this weekend. Just everybody try to be safe out there. We don't need to have it like Lake of the Ozarks where they seem like 1 or 2 people get killed every weekend. But just be safe and courteous out there. Till next week, good luck, good fishing.